Without holiness, no man shall see God. Without good health, no man can effectively serve God. And without high success, you don't have a say in the affairs of men.
Jesus shall feed his flock like a shepherd.
Welcome to Extreme Makeover. I'm your regular host, Reverend Tony Akinyemi, the senior pastor of the Shepherd's Flock International Church. Today, I want to continue from where we signed off the last time in relation to how to use the juices and the smoothies that we make from fruits, vegetables, herbs, nuts, and what have you, to address the issues of our health, to promote healing, health, longevity, and also for pleasure. And that is based on one of my recent books, Juices and Smoothies for Healing, Health, and Pleasure. Now, during the first episode, I gave you a global view of the 21 principles of healthy living that is holistic in nature, addressing the spirit, the soul, and the body of man. Now, I want to zero in on the third component of man, the body, how to use God's provision in the area of food to help nourish our bodies such that our bodies can be healthy and we can prevent disease, or if we already have certain disease conditions in place, how to use food to help us to recover from those disease conditions. Today, I want to start by giving you powerful quotations, profound statements made by experts in the field of health and healing. Some of them medical doctors, some of them nutritionists, some of them health enthusiasts like me, some of them ministers of the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. These are very powerful and profound statements that I believe will set you thinking, and it will stimulate you to reconsider many things that we have considered gospel truth in the past as far as our diet, our lifestyle, and our health are concerned. Now, the first one is going to come from an ancient Chinese proverb. And this is what it says. It says, the superior doctor prevents illness. The mediocre doctor attends to impending sickness. And the inferior doctor treats actual illness. And that means that there are three categories of doctors as far as this ancient Chinese proverb is concerned. There is the superior doctor, there is the mediocre doctor, and there is the inferior doctor. The superior doctor is the one that actually preempts disease, the one that coaches the patient in order to live his or her life in such a way that he or she doesn't even fall sick in the first place. Disease prevention, that is usually the focus of the superior doctor. But you see, in life, not too many people are willing to pay for such services. Now, if somebody teaches you how to eat, how to live your life, and you can go on for 10 years without falling sick, how much are you willing to pay to such a doctor? Not too many people will be willing to pay anything. They will say, after all, I have not been sick, you didn't treat me, so why should I pay you? So it does not really give economic reward to those rendering such services. And that's why preventive medicine is not particularly very lucrative or attractive. But when somebody is at the brink of death and needs intervention, medical intervention, such as surgery, for instance, in order to save the life of that patient, and they say, go and bring $10,000 or $20,000 for us to do this surgery to save your life, virtually anyone who can afford it will be willing to put down that money for the surgery. Even those who can't afford it will run around to look for the money in order to stay alive because they believe that the doctor has performed a miracle, as it were. This mindset is what we have to work on. We have to be willing to pay for services that help us to prevent disease rather than wait until there is disease. And when that disease is reversed, then we're willing to pay. The superior doctor is the one who helps the patient not to fall sick. As a matter of fact, the word doctor actually means a teacher. It means a coach. Someone who shows you how. That is a doctor. And that's why those who have PhD usually are called doctor as lecturers in higher institutions because they are teachers, they are coaches. So your doctor should actually be your coach. Any doctor that does not spend time with you to coach you, to show you how to live, how to eat, when not to eat, what to avoid, and what have you. Any doctor that does not sit down with you and do that with you is not a superior doctor. Now, the mediocre doctor is the one who begins to run around when there is an impending disease, an impending disaster. Something is about to go wrong, and then he says, hey, what can we do to quickly nip this thing in the bud? After all, it's just in its infancy. And then he begins to do whatever he can in order to remedy that situation before it gets aggravated, before it leads to further complications. That is a mediocre doctor. You don't have to wait until the disease process commences before you do something or before you intervene. Unfortunately, the way medical science is practiced and the way medical students are taught today, they are never taught to be proactive in preventing disease. They are only taught to intervene after the disease process has started. As a matter of fact, you find a number of people going to see their doctors to say, hey, I don't want this thing to happen, or I'm feeling this way, and they test them. And at the end of the day, they say, well, what we can see is not too serious. You can come back in 3 months' time or 6 months' time. Let's wait and see and let the thing mature a little bit before we do something. Now, why can't you nip it in the bud now? Why do you have to wait for 3 months for the thing to grow bigger before you now begin to intervene? That is the attitude of a mediocre doctor. But the inferior doctor is the one who even allows the whole thing to be big before he begins to see what can be done. Don't go away. It's still your program, Extreme Makeover, and I'm your host, Reverend Tony Akemi. I'll be back shortly after this short break.
The Shepherd's Flock is a ministry that was commissioned of God, graced and anointed for the lifting of everyone that comes in contact or is associated with it. The Shepherd's Flock is an apostolic ministry. We are therefore raising an apostolic team to administer a truly New Testament church that has room for the fivefold ministry and other support ministries. The Shepherd's Flock is a multifaceted ministry with a threefold commission. The church stands for purity, power, and prosperity, and has the divine mandate of God to raise a holy, healthy, and highly successful people for God. Our vision: to raise God-fearing men and women for Christ's kingdom who will radically influence and transform their world for God's glory. We intend to achieve this through the avenues of the Word, spiritual warfare, dynamic worship, and a warm atmosphere. In view of the level of decadence and the scarcity of the Word of God in our nation and society, the Shepherd's Flock is set to nurture believers to a level of high spiritual growth by the preaching of the wholesome words of God. By this, we have been able to enlighten people, and they have been able to win life battles over poverty, diseases, hopelessness, and unrighteousness. The Shepherd's Flock seeks to enjoy fellowship, friendship, and intimacy with you. As we vigorously pursue the goal of becoming a large church, we want to be big enough to accommodate all that the Lord will send our way, and at the same time, small enough to know everybody by name and touch every life intimately and according to individual needs. How can you reach us? 18 Shogunle Street off Mobolaji Bank, Anthony Way, behind Etiebet's Place, Abule Onigbagbo bus stop, between Eko Hospital and Sheraton Hotel, Ikeja, Lagos. God bless.
Welcome back. This is still Extreme Makeover, and I'm your host, Reverend Tony Akiyemi. I promised to give you 7 powerful and profound quotations from experts on health today. We looked at the first one, which was an ancient Chinese proverb that talks about the superior doctor, the mediocre doctor, and the inferior doctor. Now, the second quotation is actually from Dr. Norman Walker, DSC. Dr. Norman Walker said, and I quote, "Our Creator gave us food both as nourishment and as medicine. It is only natural, therefore, to use our food with both of these goals in view," unquote, by Dr. Norman Walker. Now, what Dr. Norman Walker is saying is that when we eat food, we should understand the purpose of eating that food. And the two most important purposes that food must serve, as far as Dr. Norman Walker is concerned, is that it should serve the purpose of nourishment and it must serve the purpose of medicine. In other words, your food should nourish you and your food should serve as medicine for your healing, for your health, for your strength, for your restoration. Anything you eat or anything you drink that does not serve these two primary purposes does not qualify to be called food. The third quotation for today is from Dr. Bernard Jensen. Dr. Bernard Jensen practices, his clinic is in Arizona in the United States of America. And this is what he says. I quote, he says, "In my professional experience, I consider nutritional deficiencies to be among the most common and least acknowledged contributors to the development of disease and illness in our time, because so many people are not using balanced food program centered around whole, pure, and natural foods as they should." So Dr. Bernard Jensen says in his practice of medicine for decades, he has found out that one of the most common problems that lead to disease in the human body is nutritional deficiencies. And that when doctors even treat patients, they seldom give attention to nutrition as one of the key protocols for restoring health in ailing patients. And so it's about time we started looking in that direction to use food as our medicine. As a matter of fact, the acknowledged father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, would say in his lifetime, "Let your food be your medicine, and let your medicine be your food." The fourth quotation for today is from Dr. C.W. Kavanaugh of Cornell University, New York. Dr. Kavanaugh actually made this very profound statement, and I quote. He says, "There is only one disease, and that is malnutrition. All ailments and afflictions to which we may become heirs are directly traceable to this major disease. As far as Dr. Kavanaugh is concerned, the only disease that exists in the human body or in human experience is called malnutrition." In other words, either that there is no adequate nutritional factors supplied or that they are not there at all. Somebody may need vitamin A, for instance. If he doesn't get it at all, that's a complete deficiency. It is absent. Somebody may need, let's say, 10,000 IUs of vitamin A, and then he gets only 2,000. He's getting vitamin A, but he's not getting enough. That's another form of deficiency. So if there is malnutrition, one is not getting all the nutritional factors required to sustain biological life, to maintain good health, then that in itself is a disease. And Dr. Kavanaugh says every other manifestation that we see in the body, whatever name it is called, is only an offshoot of this one big problem, which is called malnutrition. Quote number 5 for today is from Dr. Norman Walker again, DSC. And Dr. Norman Walker says, "Today, any person not familiar with the nutritional and recuperative value of fresh vegetable and fruit juices is woefully uninformed." What Dr. Norman Walker is saying is that if there is anyone who does not know the benefits, the health benefits, the values derivable from the consumption of freshly extracted vegetable juices, fruit juices, nut milk, and what have you, if there's anyone who doesn't know the medicinal values of these, the nutritional values of these, the healing properties of these, then that person is woefully uninformed. And that to me is a very fundamental issue, especially in the way that we go about addressing health challenges in people today. Now, an average medical doctor who goes through a 6 to 8 year training in medical school is usually given approximately 25 hours of training in nutrition. That is grossly inadequate, considering the fact that the doctor is going to graduate and start treating people that are sick. He or she needs to know how food can be used, especially the freshly extracted juices of fruits and vegetables, to help patients to recover, because that is the real medicine and not the chemicals that are poured into patients. Now, I am not saying that patients cannot take pharmaceutical drugs, but I'm saying that if all you do is take pharmaceutical drugs, then you are not doing enough for your full recovery. Quotation number 6 for today is from Evangelist Lester Roloff. Evangelist Lester Roloff was an American evangelist who has gone to be with the Lord right now. He was an advocate of raw food, and especially the juices of carrots and various other vegetables. Now, he says, and I quote, "I believe it is a sin to be sick if you could be well," unquote, by Evangelist Lester Roloff. Evangelist Roloff is saying that if there is something you can do to prevent sickness, if you refuse to do it and you eventually fall sick, then you have sinned against yourself. It is a sin to be sick if you could be well. Now, I'm going to give you the 7th one for today before I move on to some other things from Evangelist Lester Roloff as well. Now, Evangelist Roloff says, "After 30 years of illness and fear of being sick, I have found the way of health, and I would be a traitor to my generation if I did not share it." Now, he was sharing from the perspective of his motivation for sharing the health information that he knew during his day and his time. And that's the same motivation that is driving me. I was sick almost to the point of death, and God intervened. God opened my eyes to certain items of truth, which I began to apply to my body, and I recovered to the glory of God. Now, that has been over a decade now, and I'm still here, kicking, alive and well, to the glory of God. The things that I have learned that have kept me in good health, helped me to recover from my disease, my affliction, they are the things I'm sharing with you. I believe that I shall be a traitor if I don't share it with you. Now, I also would be glad if you could take some of these things to heart so that you can produce your testimonies as well and share them with me to inspire me further. Don't go away. It's still Extreme Makeover. And I'm your host, and I'll be back shortly after this short break.
The Shepherd's Flock is a ministry that was commissioned of God, graced and anointed for the lifting of everyone that comes in contact or is associated with it. The Shepherd's Flock is an apostolic ministry. We are therefore raising an apostolic team to administer a truly New Testament church that has room for the fivefold ministry and other support ministries. The Shepherd's Flock is a multifaceted ministry with a threefold commission. The church stands for purity, power, and prosperity, and has the divine mandate of God to raise a holy, healthy, and highly successful people for God. Our vision: to raise God-fearing men and women for Christ's kingdom who will radically influence and transform their world for God's glory. We intend to achieve this through the avenues of the Word, spiritual warfare, dynamic worship, and a warm atmosphere. In view of the level of decadence and the scarcity of the Word of God in our nation and society, the Shepherd's Flock is set to nurture believers to a level of high spiritual growth by the preaching of the wholesome words of God. By this, we have been able to enlighten people, and they have been able to win life battles over poverty, diseases, hopelessness, and unrighteousness. The Shepherd's Flock seeks to enjoy fellowship, friendship, and intimacy with you. As we vigorously pursue the goal of becoming a large church, we want to be big enough to accommodate all that the Lord will send our way, and at the same time, small enough to know everybody by name and touch every life intimately and according to individual needs. How can you reach us? 18 Shogunle Street off Mobolaji Bank, Anthony Way, behind Etiebet's Place, Abule Onigbagbo bus stop, between Eko Hospital and Sheraton Hotel, Ikeja, Lagos. God bless.
Welcome back to Extreme Makeover. It's been my pleasure sharing some nuggets of information for your health transformation with you. I've shared with you 7 very profound quotations from renowned experts in the field of health and healing, especially natural health. Some of them ministers of the gospel, some of them scientists and researchers, some of them medical practitioners. Now, from all that they said, one thing comes to the fore, and I cannot agree more, and that is the fact that malnutrition, or put in another way, nutritional deficiencies, these serve as the basic foundation for the initiation and the development of diseases. That means that if we will be able to recover from many or most diseases, or if we will be able to prevent most diseases, the subject of dealing with malnutrition has to be given very much its deserved attention. So I want to propose 3 very simple fundamental ways by which malnutrition can be overcome. How do I overcome malnutrition? I want to propose 3 simple things you can do to overcome malnutrition. The first thing I want to propose is that you have to include fresh fruits, raw vegetables, and raw nuts in your diet on a daily basis. These will serve as sources of powerful nutritional elements to nourish your body, to help you to overcome malnutrition. They will deliver vitamins, minerals, purified water, enzymes, phytonutrients, fiber, many other wonderful things that will support health. Don't forget, the first way to overcome malnutrition is to incorporate raw foods in the form of fresh fruits, organic to be preferred, and not the ones grown with chemicals and what have you, and raw nuts, as well as raw vegetables in the form of vegetable salads. The second way is for you to extract the juices, of vegetables and the juices of fruits, as well as the milk from nuts like coconut milk, almond milk, sesame seed nut milk, tiger nut milk, sunflower seed milk, pumpkin seed milk, and cashew nut milk, milk from all of these seeds and nuts, as well as the juices of vegetables like carrot juice, beetroot juice, cucumber juice, and the juices of fruits like orange juice, freshly extracted, of course. I'm not talking about the ones that have been cooked, pasteurized, and packaged, sold in supermarkets. That has no place at all in what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you owning a juice extractor in your own home, in your own kitchen, and making these fresh juices by yourself, and preferably drinking them same day, especially the juices of vegetables. Now, the juices of fruits can be taken as well, but minimally. That you should go higher or drink more of the vegetable juices like carrot juice, cucumber juice, as well as juices from the greens. Kale, spinach, celery, cabbage, lettuce, cucumber, all of those you can juice and drink their juices. That's a good way to overcome malnutrition or nutritional deficiency. The third way to overcome malnutrition is for you to use nutritional supplements. Now, I will tell you more about nutritional supplements because many of us don't even know the right supplements to take. Nutritional supplements are a good way to supplement your diet. Now, and that's why they are called supplements. Now, look at the budget of a nation. There is usually the main budget. And quite often, when some additional things are required to be accommodated and it did not exist in the initial main budget, there is what is usually called the supplementary budget. Now, look at supplements in that sense. In other words, the main budget is your food, what you eat at your dining table. And then supplements would only serve as the supplementary budget. But you see, many people make the mistake of making the supplements their main budget, and then the food is the supplementary budget. That is putting things upside down. You have to let your food be the main means to supply nutrients to your body. But we all know that because of the various ways we practice agriculture these days, our soil has been so depleted that they don't have the nutrients that the plants can take up into their fruits, into their seeds, into their leaves to nourish our bodies. So we may have some minerals, some vitamins in insufficient amounts, even in the food that we eat. And we may need to supplement or augment what we eat from our food. This is where supplements come in. So, if you must take supplements, you must understand the dynamics of supplements. And there are essentially 3 types of supplements that I want to talk about. Those 3 types are the ones that you will find in the market. You need to be informed to know which type is best for you. Now, the first type of supplement that you're likely going to see in the market, which is very cheap, very abundant, they are the synthetic supplements. Synthetic in the sense that they were synthesized in the laboratory. Scientists know the chemical formula of every vitamin, so they just go on and they go to the laboratory and put all the different chemicals together to produce that particular vitamin. Those are called synthetic vitamins. They are made from petrochemicals and such other chemicals. They are not particularly very good for the human body. In some cases, they could even be toxic to your liver or to other organs of your body. I will never advise anyone to take synthetic supplements, except you don't have any other option. But if there are other options, there are better options to follow. Now, the second type of supplement, those ones are called isolated supplements. In other words, for instance, take an orange. An orange has got over 1,000 different elements in that one small round thing called the orange that got packaged in there for our health benefit. The one that many of us know about in the orange is vitamin C, for instance. There are many other things apart from vitamin C. There is citrus pectin, there is citrus bioflavonoid, there is glucose or fructose, there is fiber, so many other things in the orange. Now, when you take the vitamin C and you remove it from the orange and compound it into a tablet, that is an isolated nutrient from the orange. That becomes isolated supplement. That is okay because it's natural, but because you have removed it from its natural environment, all the other cofactors that should have enhanced its potency have been taken away. Even though it will serve a good purpose, but it will not be in its optimum. The best is the third one, which is whole food supplement. Rather than take the vitamin C from the orange, I take the entire component, the entire thing that got packaged in the orange, removing nothing. I eat everything like that. The vitamin C is there, the citrus bioflavonoid is there, the pectin is there, the fiber is there, the fructose is there. They all work together synergistically to deliver potent medicinal values. So any supplement that is made whole from vegetables, from fruits, from roots, from herbs, without extracting anything out of it, that's what is called a whole supplement. That is the type of supplement that is very good in supplementing your diet. I believe that you've received some useful information today that you can put into practice for longevity, for recovery, for good health. And I pray that your health will spring forth like the noonday. It's been Extreme Makeover, and I've been your host, Reverend Tony Akinyemi, the senior pastor of the Shepherd's Flock International Church, the sponsors of this program. I'd like to see you same time, same station next week. God bless you.
The Shepherd's Flock is a ministry that was commissioned of God, graced and anointed for the lifting of everyone that comes in contact or is associated with it. The Shepherd's Flock is an apostolic ministry. We are therefore raising an apostolic team to administer a truly New Testament church that has room for the fivefold ministry and other support ministries. The Shepherd's Flock is a multifaceted ministry with a threefold commission. The church stands for purity, power, and prosperity, and has the divine mandate of God to raise a holy, healthy, and highly successful people for God. Our vision: to raise God-fearing men and women for Christ's kingdom who will radically influence and transform their world for God's glory. We intend to achieve this through the avenues of the Word, spiritual warfare, dynamic worship, and a warm atmosphere. In view of the level of decadence and the scarcity of the Word of God in our nation and society, the Shepherd's Flock is set to nurture believers to a level of high spiritual growth by the preaching of the wholesome words of God. By this, we have been able to enlighten people, and they have been able to win life battles over poverty, diseases, hopelessness, and unrighteousness. The Shepherd's Flock seeks to enjoy fellowship, friendship, and intimacy with you. As we vigorously pursue the goal of becoming a large church, we want to be big enough to accommodate all that the Lord will send our way, and at the same time, small enough to know everybody by name and touch every life intimately and according to individual needs. How can you reach us? 18 Shogunle Street off Mobolaji Bank, Anthony Way, behind Etiebet's Place, Abule Onigbagbo bus stop, between Eko Hospital and Sheraton Hotel, Ikeja, Lagos. God bless.